Big Smokehouse back here with you, and today we're going to be making some gumbo greens. Back here, I'm going to show you guys the stars of today's show. Back here we've got 2 bags. This equals out to about 4 bushels of collard greens. Now, gumbo greens, it's exactly in the name. You can use collard greens, you can use any type of greens that take a bit to cook down will go good for this recipe. Alright, so we've got 4 bunches of collard greens that were cleaned with salt and vinegar yesterday, and I went ahead and chopped them up, saved me some time today. You've got flour. This flour will be to make a roux, hence the name gumbo greens. The base of this dish will be a roux. I've got me some garlic. Garlic always makes an appearance on this channel. I've got me some Andouille sausage. I've got the Trinity, the Cajun Trinity, celery, green bell pepper, and onion. And then I've got, to make sure that our liquid is seasoned, these are smoked turkey tails. You don't really see any salt up here. I will wait to the end to salt this recipe. And to make my roux, we got 1 to 1 part, so that's 1 part fat to 1 part flour. I'm using vegetable oil or canola oil. You use whatever oil that you have. You can use lard, right? So again, that's 1 part or 1 cup oil to 1 cup flour. I also have some Cajun seasoning that I made. This is what's going to give us the bulk of our flavor, along with everything else that we have here. Now, this video is going to start off with me making a roux. I don't have a lot of time left on this chip, so I'm going to be cutting in and out of the pieces. Alright, stay tuned. Alright, to start off with this recipe, we're going to start off with sauteing off these Andouille sausage. The main reason you want to saute these off is to get some excellent color. Excellent color equals excellent flavor. Now, you could also use a nice smoked beef sausage for this. I just think for most gumbos, Andouille and the flavor that it brings is perfect for a gumbo. So that's actually what we're making. Alright, let's get on with making this roux. Again, the longest roux that I've ever made has probably been a little bit over an hour. I don't plan on standing here over this stove that long. This is probably the longest portion of this cook. So we're going in with our oil. Right? I did not take any of that andouille fat out of there. Just adding more fat to the party. Again, that's 1 cup oil to the drippings, and then we're going in with 1 cup flour. And then we're going to stand here and get to mixing. This is not something that you start and walk away from. So now I fancy starting with the low fire and then bringing my fire up. This process is made so that the oil is a vehicle in which to fry off that flour. Now again, as I said before, you do not have to use the same fat and flour that I've used. I implore you to actually try out some different things, right? I've seen people make roux with butter. That's a fat, right? You want to keep this going too. The first part of the mixing is to make sure you get all those lumps out. Because the worst thing you would want is to have this nice dark roux and have clumps of encapsulated flour that not been cooked. It's still white, right? There are different ways to make a roux. As of late, past few years, I've seen people throwing their flour in the oven, roasting the flour, achieving those deep dark flavors of that flour in the oven. We're not doing that today, but however, you know, people just are looking to save time. I've also seen in the store they sell pre-made roux already. Not necessarily a fan, but you do what you do. All right, we're gonna stand here and mix. So as this changes color, I'll bring you guys back. I'm going for a dark chocolate in color. I was always taught the darker the roux, the better the flavor. So that's what I'm going to get going today. I'll see you guys back here in a bit when we got some color changing going on. It's been about 15-20 minutes. Now we're looking like a brown gravy. In fact, you know, depending on what type of gravy you're trying to make, a roux is the base for that gravy, but for this dish, the roux is the color, it is the flavor. However, you do so many other things that people don't really realize with a base roux, right? I'll bring you guys back when we got a little bit more deep, darker flavor. All right, it's going on about 30, 35, 40 minutes. We're kind of looking good. I like this color. We probably can get a little bit darker. This is a heavy bottom pan. I usually use a thinner pan, which means I've got to be mixing constantly, manipulating the fire. So, like the smells we're getting off this, we're going to go ahead and get it started. You want to get this as dark as possible because as soon as you introduce your veggies and those liquids come weeping off those veggies, you're going to lighten the roux, right? It's going to break. That's part of it. It's going to break, but you want it to remain dark. Again, this is the coloring and seasoning for the entirety of the dish. All right. Most of the more flavorful gumbos I've had from other people or other restaurants, it's always dark in nature. Always dark. All right. So this is dark enough for me. So we're going to start introducing our veggies. Again, we're going in with the Cajun Trinity. Remember, this is hot. This is certainly ready. I've introduced these veggies to this roux. I'm going to stand here and mix this. I'll bring you guys back here shortly. Got to get my liquids going. We're going to switch this pan because this pan is not big enough. Alright, so now I'm going to go in with all my garlic. Some people don't add garlic, but you know, here on this channel, anything I'm doing, I got a chance to add some garlic, we're going to add it. And we're going to add a whole lot of it. This was about 8 cloves that I minced down. Get that mixed in. I've got me 10 cups of water over here to the boil. Hasn't started boiling yet. Alright, got my roux over here. I went ahead and turned that fire off. This is good to go, and actually you can keep this, you can freeze it, you can do a lot of stuff with this. If you are strapped for time, you can cook it today, put it up in the freezer until you need it. Alright, so here's my water. I got it on a medium heat. I'm going to turn it up a little so it can hurry up, get to the boil. But while we're preparing this water, I've got my smoked turkey tails going in. You can use any type of smoked meat. Generally, if I'm making just regular greens, I'm going to have some type of smoked meat going in, right? Then we're going to go in with a few bay leaves. Alright. Then now, we can go in with our roux. I'm going to have to set you guys down so you guys can see what I'm doing. Right, you can see this changed the color of that water. You can use beef stock or chicken stock. Doesn't really matter because, again, those greens are going to be bringing some of their own flavor to this, as well as that roux. Now, this is where I'm going to introduce my first round of seasoning. Again, there is no salt in this seasoning I've made. The only salt so far in this dish will be coming from those smoked turkey tails. That allows me at the end of this dish to go ahead and be able to tailor that salt to where I'm not just cooking for hours and hours and hours and it's already a salty product. So we're going to introduce our first round of seasoning. Get that in there. This does have a kick to it. In here, we've got celery seed, we've got cayenne, we've got onion powder, garlic powder, we've got paprika, all right? A base Cajun seasoning. Right. So as it's cooked down, of course, that flavor is going to condense. We're going to give this a good mix. Then now I'm going to introduce my greens, and pretty much the hardest part of this recipe is done, unless you think waiting is hard. But stay tuned. I'll bring you guys back. Right. So as they cook down, this will start to go down, and you can put the rest of your uncooked greens in there. So I did come over the top with some of that seasoning. Just remember, these greens are going to release water, so this dish can be really watered down. Towards the end of the cooking process, I'm going to remove this top, let that flavors evaporate and condense down, giving us a flavorful gumbo greens recipe. Again, my sausage are over here. I might get them back into the fridge. There's that seasoning. I might be hitting again with that seasoning throughout. Other than that, let's get this top on. These are going to sit here and simmer. Stay tuned. I'll bring you guys back when we have some changes. Let me show you what I look for and how I know whether these greens have time left to cook for me. Again, the texture that I like is not going to be the texture that everybody else likes. For one, I need some of this juice to evaporate out of here. That's going to condense flavors, concentrate flavors. 2, I like my greens a bit more broken down than most. I don't want any crunch. So for me, I'm going to let these go probably another hour, hour and a half. We'll see more of these leaves breaking down. Some people will like these right now. I can tell you, I've tasted that broth, that roux in it. It's quite flavorful. Doesn't really need any salt to speak of yet. However, that might change towards the end of this dish. So again, I'm going to set a timer for another hour, hour and a half, and then we'll go from there. Stay tuned. These off, I'm going to put them on the back burner and just let them set. You'll see some people do some to their gumbo. You'll see at the end they may add some cold, really cold bottles of water. It's said that it helped amplify that flavor, but I found out that if you simply let this cool, come to room temperature, put it in your fridge for the next day, it tastes better. Not going to do that. I'm just going to let this cool slightly so I can get a bowl, get my pictures, and close this video out. Stay tuned. Greens and some homemade sweet honey cornbread muffins that I've made. So let's kind of recap what we did. I had some greens that I cleaned last night. I cleaned them using vinegar and salt. I put them up in Ziploc bags into my fridge. I went ahead and also prepared the other items that I would generally use for gumbo. So that would be the Cajun Trinity. That's onion, bell pepper, and celery. And then I went ahead and got my things out to make the roux. To make that roux, we use 1 part flour to 1 part canola oil. Now, you might find other ways to make a roux. Those will all work here in this recipe. After that, the next day or this morning, I got up. I went ahead and got them greens on. I made my roux. I made my roux to actually enhance that pot liquor. And then also last night I cut up some Andouille sausage that went in at the end of the cook. At the beginning of the cook, along with that roux, after frying that roux off, I went in with my roux, 10 cups of water, and then I put in my smoked meat of choice. Today we use smoked turkey tails. All right, this all goes to seasoning that roux or making that pot liquor. All right. So now let's go ahead and get a taste. The cook time for this was right at 2.5 hours. I could have went longer. Again, I love my greens broken down more than most. Right. Let's get in here and see what we have. All right, we've got I see pieces of that turkey tail. I did take the meat off those bones. Got those bones out of there. I didn't get that on camera. So let's get some of these greens with some of that pot liquor and a few pieces of this meat. Let's see what we got. It is greasy, but I also fancy using some type of fat when I'm making greens. Helps make those greens a bit more pliable. One thing here that I did not do, typically when I'm just making greens, I will add a bit of vinegar into that pot liquor. It helps tenderize those greens. Didn't really need it here, and that's because I got a good clean and cut on those greens. See, can you see that? It's looking pretty good. Definitely has flavors of gumbo. Those greens kind of step into the place where there would be chicken or some other protein. The pot liquor is definitely delicious. It coats these greens, right? Worst thing you can have is a dry green, especially when you love eating greens. So I'm gonna take one of these muffins. Let's dip it in that pot liquor. Pretty good. YouTube, this is B Smokehouse, and again today we made gumbo greens. Look forward to all of the comments and support that I've received thus far. Until next time, B Smokehouse out.